The 500 Ghana cedi that used to be to 350 Ghana cedis, representing over a 25% cut. Well, Minister for Foreign Affairs Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa made this known while addressing Parliament as of yesterday.
In our efforts to make passports more accessible to all Ghanaians and per instructions I have received from His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, we are pleased to announce a reduction in the cost of the ordinary passport booklet, that is the 32-page booklet, from the 500 Ghana cedis to 350 Ghana cedis. We will in the coming days be presenting an amendment to the fees and charges to ensure that this reduction is approved by the House from 500 Ghana cedis down to 350 Ghana cedis. That is the new policy position of the Mahama administration. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you might have read that a passport reform committee has been set up to study and review the contract which we inherited. That review is underway, and indeed all the partners are meeting tomorrow to conclude the exercise of the review. When the review of the contract is done, we will move into a phase-out rollout of the chip-embedded passport, and we expect a smooth transition.
Well, meanwhile, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has disclosed that 50 out of the 150 Ghanaians in the United States have received final deportation orders to return to Ghana by mid-year this year. The minister stated that 2 Ghanaians have already been processed for deportation by April 1 this year. Well, Mr. Ablakwa made this known while briefing Parliament on the situation on Thursday, March 13, 2025.
I have not visited Assad yet. I can confirm to you that under this arrangement, the persons who are held in Panama and Costa Rica have the opportunity to opt for integration in these countries. That is, if they do not want to be moved to their final destination. And the checks I have done, I did make efforts. I wanted to explore the possibility of visiting. But the information that we have received at the ministry is that there are only 2 Ghanaians in this category, this Panama situation, and they have opted to be integrated and to go about their normal activities in Panama. And so if I go to the camp now, I won't find any Ghanaian there. And if any of you go to the camps in Panama or Costa Rica, you will not find Ghanaians there because of that opportunity they have. If you want to be hosted and to integrate in those transit countries, you can do that. And they have opted for that. So let me be clear, for the record, there are no Ghanaians currently in these detention camps in Panama and Costa Rica. The only 2 who made it there have opted to be integrated in those countries. And so we are fine on that score. We don't have anybody to visit in those detention camps. I have not visited Assad yet. I can confirm to you that under this arrangement, the persons who are held in Panama and Costa Rica have the opportunity to opt for integration in this.
Away from that story, the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency, Malik, has announced that the agency is set to create 200,000 jobs within its first year. While speaking to the media, he emphasized that this projection excludes jobs from other government agencies such as the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, and the National Identification Authority.
Today, we are pleased to sign an MOU with the G4S security services. This MOU seeks to employ or recruit close to 6,000 men within 1 year into the security services, the private security service. And it's been weeks of back and forth in trying to draft the MOU. What we did as leadership was that after the assumption of office, we realized that it would take some time before the budget was read and then before we get into full force. But we just couldn't have been sitting down doing nothing and waiting for the budget to be read before we think of recruiting people in the public sector. We thought that it was important to engage with the private sector so we could secure some few jobs, and people who will be interested in those jobs could get enrolled, so that right after the budget, if there are a few public sector jobs, then we could absorb the remaining few there. Our target is to create close to 200,000 jobs within a year, and 1 year is poised for action. Today alone, we have deducted 6,000 from the 200,000 jobs. Weeks ago, we secured some few slots and then we put them out. 2 days ago, we activated to commission to launch 200 training of 200 people in hospitality training in a partnership with Guinness Ghana. And we'll continue to search for jobs. And so we are relying on all the private sector. Our doors are open to collaborate with you. There are a lot of benefits you get from collaborating with the Youth Employment Agency. And His Excellency the President has made it a point that private sector that will collaborate with the government sector in securing job opportunities for the younger generation will adequately be rewarded. And in times of benefits, we will not forget to first of all remember all those private institutions. And so we commend the G4S Security Services today for that solemn step in reaching out and then in collaborating with us.
President John Dramani Mahama has clarified that his administration currently has only 30 political appointees at the presidency, reinforcing his commitment to lean governance and efficiency of public resources. Well, his remarks comes in response to allegations by the Member of Parliament for Damango, Samuel Abujinapo, who accused him of failing to uphold his promise of lean government by allegedly exceeding the pleaded and pledged 60 ministerials and appointing over 100 staffers at the presidency.
To achieve the full complement of 60 ministers that we promised. The same commitment to composing a lean government has found expression in the appointments made at the presidency so far. So far, I've appointed 27 presidential staffers to various roles and 3 persons as directors of important governmental initiatives, bringing the total number of political appointees so far to 30. This list of 30 is pending approval from the Council of State. At the last count, there were 336 political appointees at the presidency under the previous government. While we're in the process of recruiting supporting staff to enable the full functioning of our presidency, the numbers will come nowhere near the army of people that were hired under the previous government.
President John Dramani Mahama has issued a stern warning to chief executive officers of the state-owned enterprises, stating that all those willing to align with his administration #the reset agenda will retain their positions. While speaking at a meeting with SOE heads under the State Interest and Governance Authority on March 13 as of yesterday, Mr. Mahama made it clear that underperforming executives must either impose or move a step.
We expect something completely different from you. The reports we would look at next year will be the report for 2024. So really your performance will show when we do the 2026 review. That will show for 2025. And I'm going to come and sit in that review and we will mark you based on your performances. And if you're not matching with the pace of the reset agenda, you might be asked to step aside. And so if that adds to the horror movie, that's the intention. Indeed, many of your entities are at their lowest points in the entire history of the Fourth Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, the era of impunity, mediocrity, and financial recklessness must end today.
Meanwhile, President John Dramani Mahama has directed all chief executive officers and their deputies to declare their assets without delay. Well, he stated emphatically that these individuals would receive a letter from the Chief of Staff instructing them to promptly submit their asset declaration to the Auditor General's office.
Let me also remind that the requirement to declare assets also includes all those who have been appointed as CEOs and deputy CEOs in government departments and agencies. Some of those people think they are not included. The amended law included all of them. So those who are rushing for position, you are covered by the assets declaration rule. And so they should declare their assets as quickly as possible. I've asked the Chief of Staff to write to all such persons to declare their assets promptly with the Auditor General's office. The sacrifices I ask you to make are to secure a prosperous future for posterity. And you must never sacrifice a secure future for the pleasures of this fleeting moment. The task of resetting and building the Ghana we want is enormous. However, experience has shown that the enormity of the challenge of governance does not demand an elephant-sized government, but rather it demands effective leadership.
And on a development story, the former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has called on Finance Minister Dr. Atoforsin to provide clarity on his intention to abolish the betting tax. He made this call during his speech delivered. Well, according to him, he considered that his statement was misleading.
After all that you've said, the only question you could ask me was about the controversial issue. Well, I don't want to quote more controversy, so let me hazard a response. So, the NDC in its manifesto promised to scrap 10% levy on bet winnings. That's what they said in the manifesto. And I have exactly what they said. 10% levy on bet winnings. That's what they want to abolish. And that can be called betting tax. But it is different from taxes on winnings from other forms of lottery. Games of chance, staking lotto, they are not the same as what they are promising to abolish. And so if I see in the statement by the minister that he will abolish winnings from lotto or lotteries and call that betting tax, then it sounds reasonable for me to think that he's equating betting tax, which they promise to abolish, to the taxes on winnings from other, lotteries or other games of chance. And I know that the winnings from lotto, for example, the tax on that was not implemented. And I know that for sure, for a fact. Because as finance minister, I held several meetings on how to implement it, following petition from National Lotteries Authority. And I facilitated meetings between NLA and GRA to discuss how to implement. So I know for a fact that it wasn't implemented. And so I could not be taking advantage of the mistake the minister made. Reasonably, if you know that betting tax is different from other taxes on lotteries, and the minister in the same statement sought to equate the two, then I needed to explain that the betting tax he was referring to had actually not been implemented. But I can also understand that, and I've listened to myself again, I've listened to the statement, and it appears the statement created an impression that I meant betting tax as it relates to bet winnings was not implemented. If that's the impression that was created by my statement, then that was inaccurate on my part. But what I really wanted to say was that what he called betting tax, as in taxes on lotto winning, was not implemented.
Well, meanwhile, former Deputy Finance Minister and Member of Parliament for Echua East, Abena Osei Asari, has raised concerns over the government's decision to uncap the Ghana Education Trust Fund in the 2025 budget statement.
2014 compensations budget was 1.28 billion. So assuming you add 10%, give or take, and then let's say it goes to 1.4 billion Ghana cedis for national security, and you add the 326 that existed in 2024, it comes to about 1.7 billion Ghana cedis. So there's a clear difference of $1 billion Ghana cedis added to a lean government's compensation. Ladies and gentlemen, we need answers. That is why I say that the budget lacks credibility, and so they should come again. On this note, I would like to invite my brother, Dr. Gideon Kwako, to take over.
A Ghanaian broadcaster, Kofi Aduma, has shared his first public statement following his tragic incident which nearly cost him his sight. Addressing the public as of yesterday via his Facebook page, Kofi revealed that he is enduring excruciating pain and suffering headaches, which is making it difficult for him to sleep at night. The broadcaster was injured during a masquerade display at the Kofi Festival in Doma in December 2024 when gunpowder resided his track in his eyes.
The boy and not my bushing for Abisa said, na dinner angel for and was oh, na me catch him say, oh, Dr. Quatia, dear, or buy him puno, or yes, sir, Doma Hima, when him no pa and your friend, on near down for 20, on any bedding como, no more ready on bet me a year for home. Na every one of friend about Combona money, every one friend when you know. And Timekai said, a copa said, and young communina needed to bedroom. Nanso Panina Frey said, oh, and young communina, no, see, oh, there be yes, beer, but not a big casa 1 year she, no, just a debby, empo by, you know. We say, I some way, dear, send me dear chilena me dead dom, a codoma in a home, and make she see a quiet police case. No, Korea, quite a police case. The payment, ne? Do we any dear? A cheap suspect. Yeah, young dear.
Why be food? What's in oh, come my young jewel, Ghana.
Yeah. I would never wish this on my worst enemy. A big cancer. Mesre ejuma we nyina ye bi but edan no contractor no gusu oyi kwan ko ene me na aka me dan onya nyimie enti o kasa mesre no ahwe ni ye na areho in fact,
away from that story, former Minister for Housing, Kojo Nkrumah, has appealed to President John Dramani Mahama to continue on the Agenda 111 project initiated by the previous New Patriotic Party government, emphasizing that abandoning them for political reasons would hinder the development of Ghana's healthcare infrastructure.
You recall President Mahama, candidate Mahama, promising the next, don't worry, we'll continue the projects and finish them and employ you in them. Now, you are realizing that this is becoming an illusion. Not only is it worrying, not only is it contrary, but abandoning these projects or giving them out as franchises, like the President mentioned when he came to Parliament for SONA, will jeopardize the efforts at universal health coverage. The millions of citizens in remote districts who are looking forward to their lives being saved from this healthcare intervention are now at risk. Mr. President, we beg you in the name of God, please do not abandon the Agenda 111 project for political reasons.
And in a major shake-up at the helm of the Ghana Police Service, President John Dramani Mahama has announced the removal of the Dr. George Akufo-Dampare as Inspector General of Police and appointed Commissioner of Police Christian Tete Yonu as his replacement. The announcement, made in a statement issued by the presidency on Thursday, cited constitutional provisions as the basis for the decision. According to the statement, the president acted in accordance with Article 91 of and 202 of the 1992 Constitution in consultation with the Council of State to effect the change. Well, meanwhile, Professor Caci, a security analyst, and the police think tank Imani Africa have jointly petitioned the Supreme Court for an injunction to stop the president from firing IGP George Akufo-Dampare and other security agency leaders. And let's move to Akwitia, where the Supreme Court, in a 4-1 majority decision, has ruled that Akwitia Member of Parliament, Ernest Yao Kumi, is entitled to a Supreme Court hearing in a contempt case brought against him. Well, Justice Gabriel dissented, while the remaining 4 justices on the panel supported the motion for the Apex Court to hear the matter.
Well executed to its fullest. If it was a football match, we would have said we have won women away. We are dry. We have never regretted. It was a good decision we took. No, it was a very perfect strategy, well executed to its fullest. If it was a football match, we would have said we have won women away. We are dry. We have never regretted. It was a good decision we took.
And the Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Akwele-Oklu, in a collaboration with the Tema Development Corporation and the National Security, have demolished ongoing structures being set up at the Tema Ramsar site. This demolition is part of the broader initiative to safeguard the Ramsar site, which is an ecologically sensitive area.
China Mall, the place got flooded. Very soon we'll be experiencing this rain season. So we are trying to prevent future occurrences. We don't want any national disaster. And if you could take notice, for the first time when it rained, China Mall, the place got flooded. Why? It's because of this encroachment on the Ramsar site. So basically we are here to prevent. Those that has been encroached, fine, but we have to protect the inner core of those left. If you want to meet me, I mean, I'm going to form a team that you have to meet. We are not going to,
And the Bank of Ghana has inaugurated a new board of directors, making a renewed commitment to financial stability, sound monetary policy, and economic resilience. The ceremony, held on Thursday as of yesterday, was attended by the Vice President of Ghana, top government officials, and financial experts.
We stand at a time of significant economic challenges, which are macroeconomic instability, rising inflationary pressures, currency volatility, and fiscal constraints, all of which demand urgent and strategic action. This board, Your Excellency, composed of esteemed professionals with vast expertise, is tasked with guiding the bank's policy direction and ensuring that we navigate these challenges with boldness, integrity, and accountability. Our mission is clear, Your Excellency. We must restore confidence in the Bank of Ghana, we must uphold price stability, and we must strengthen our financial position and reinforce good governance.
And credit goes to City News for that footage. Let's do some international news.